Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Boo Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, Jayhawk Nation? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I'm excited to provide you yet again another pre-game video for the Kansas Jayhawks basketball team. I'm excited because we have come off two absolutely significant wins at home in Allen Fieldhouse, the mecca of college basketball. You know, we absolutely destroyed and decimated an Iowa State team that was number 2 in the nation, was undefeated, and really had high hopes coming into Kansas. Honestly, we're hoping to knock us off inside our house, and we completely flipped the script on them. We decimated them and moved on. Now, I was thoroughly kind of concerned with Baylor coming in. I think from a matchup perspective, they matched up in a good way. They have a very elite offense, scoring 88 points per game. They were ranked almost in, I believe, the top 10 in a lot of those categories. They have two very high-profiled players that are projected to go in the first round in Carr and Yesufu. They have a talented basketball team led by Scott Drew. And the same can be said for Iowa State. I mean, they are a very talented basketball team. There's a reason why they were the number 2 team in the nation. But the significant thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is both those victories came inside Allen Fieldhouse. The Kansas Jayhawks team had the home crowd behind them. They had that home field. They were able to go to their home locker room. They were able to, sleep in their dorm rooms or those types of things. They had that home environment. This team is now expected to go on the road, and that is where they've struggled in Big 12 play. They went into an Orlando where UCF really sent a statement to this Kansas Jayhawks team opening Big 12 play. They did go to Morgantown, which has been an absolute problem for this Kansas Jayhawks basketball team more recently, and we did not pull off the win. There were a lot of question marks on how we played in that game because we played pretty well in the first half. But when the second half came about, we let the wheels spin, we started to make mistakes, and we unfortunately did not win that basketball game. So that leads us to where we're going next, and that is going to be Boulder, Colorado. Now, I want to jump out in front and say that I personally feel, and this is, again, my personal feeling, I'm glad that we're going to Boulder, Colorado. It would be one thing if we were going into, a Texas Tech, if we were going to Lubbock, and we were having to play in an environment like that where that team is on an absolute roll, ladies and gentlemen. They beat a BYU team. And so there's an amplified level of home field advantage. And I think that a Texas Tech would be an example. A BYU probably would be able to bring some next level type of home court advantage. There's some teams inside the Big 12 that are able to do that. I would say going to Iowa State and really going to Ames. Ames is going to bring a next level environment. I don't believe that Colorado is going to be that. And I'm not saying that Colorado fans are not great. I'm not saying that they can't, bring a level of toughness to the Kansas Jayhawks team. I just don't think that it's going to be on those other level of, amplification. So I think this is going to be a good test for the Kansas Jayhawks to really kick off the road, because following the Colorado game, we have to go to Manhattan. And Manhattan is trying to hold on tight to even have any type of relevance. Their coach is struggling very mightily. And so I think that this is going to be a good first litmus test before we head to Manhattan. Now, really breaking down and talking about Colorado. So this game will tip off at 10 p.m. at night. Most people are going to be in bed. I myself will have to watch this game and will love to watch this game because obviously I provide coverage to you all. So this is going to be a late one for sure, but really breaking down this Colorado Buffaloes team, their record is 12-5. And I think one of the big things is that their leading scorer is averaging roughly 16.1 points per game in Isaiah Johnson. Now they do have a 7-footer in Vanguard Dak, who is averaging roughly 7.7 rebounds per game. I believe he's getting anywhere from 22 to 23 minutes per game. I think that's something to pay attention to. Is recently we've had a little bit of success against some bigger players. That's a question I'll always have, is can he match up against the more bigger physical, 7-foot, what I would classify as more of a center than a forward? How is he going to be able to work in the post for them? So that's something I'm going to be paying attention to. Another assist leader is Barrington Hargress. He's averaging 4.6 assists per game. Now, one of the big things, too, is this Colorado Buffaloes team can score, and it's a similar scoring rate to the Baylor Bears. They're averaging 84.5 points per game. They are shooting nearly 49% from the floor, and they are shooting almost 36% from the three-point arc. So they are going to be a decently, powered offense. And I think that's something too. We've seen that again against the Iowa State Cyclones, and we saw that against Baylor. Those teams that you kind of would expect to maybe outclass you a little bit on the offensive side haven't necessarily done that. But again, both those teams came into Allen Fieldhouse. Now, Colorado's offense is averaging 84.5 points per game with a good shooting profile from really both the inside and outside. Isaiah Johnson, who we spoke of earlier, leads the charge and can create his own shot, while the team's efficient field goal and three-point percentage show they can score in volume when rhythm hits. And I think that's something to pay attention to as well, is Kansas often finds a stretch. And lately it's been really about, I would say, 3 minutes into the second half, where we go on this abysmal cold streak and we can't figure out how to put the basketball in the hoop. And those are the concerns that I have, where a team like Colorado, who can find those efficient shots, they can start to score in a higher volume, they start to build rhythm. Can they maybe cut a lead back, similar to like what an Iowa State, and very similar to what Baylor did? Baylor at one point was down 15 points and was able to completely eliminate that and go up by 1. So, those are the question marks I have, especially going into this matchup on the road. Now, the Buffaloes play a slightly higher offensive pace and emphasize movement, spacing, and scoring. Really, I think their style creates more possessions and scoring opportunities, but can leave them vulnerable if shots aren't dropping consistently. And I think that's another key point, is we're going to flip the script on them in the aspect of this Kansas Jayhawks team is extremely, extremely good at playing defense. So we'll be talking about that here in a second. In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Dan Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest. She delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. Colorado's KenPom ranking sits really at 79, and it's reflecting a team that is solid but not elite by the efficient metrics. Colorado's adjusted offensive efficiency is roughly 58 nationally, indicating a capable scoring offense that can keep the pace with good teams. And so I think, that's something to really kind of watch, is how is this offense going to click? If Kansas's defense can be next level as it has been, can force turnovers, can really force mental mistakes, this game, honestly, just from a paper statistical standpoint, should not even be close. So that's something to really kind of take into consideration. And so flipping it over to our Kansas Jayhawks team, who, we talk about them from post-game, we talk a little bit about them in pregame, but I think kind of just dusting up and providing true perspective on where we're at. Now, this Kansas Jayhawks team is scoring 78 points per game, which is a little bit lower than most of these teams we've been playing lately. Rebounding is 9.2 rebounds per game, so you're pretty close to that 40 mark, which is where a very highly, rebounding team in Baylor was sitting. So you're getting pretty close to that. Assists, 15.1 assists per game. Points allowed is the key right here. It is a highlight. Should be absolutely painted yellow. 67.5 points per game. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you got to think about all the teams we've played this year, and I'm not going to completely go down the list, but we've played in a very elite schedule. I do believe it's ranked in the top 12 in KenPom for, the toughness of schedule. So for us to be allowing 67.5 points per game really talks about how this team emphasizes defense. So offensively, their identity, they average 78 points per game as we discussed, indicating a balanced attack. But I really think what that is a lot of those points are starting to uptick because of Darren Peterson's play, ladies and gentlemen. And I think this team kind of cohesively learning to play with Darren Peterson on the floor. So those points, I believe, will continue to climb as he continues to average 22 points per game. Now, I think one of the big things, too, is we're starting to shoot the three ball better. Trey White, outside of this last game, has been one of the most elite players on the floor. Up until this last game, he's scored double digits in every game except the UConn game. So far this season, he's only had 2 games where he's not scored double digits. He's rebounding the basketball at a 6'7" guard. He's getting after it on the floor. He is distributing the ball as well. And we're seeing those assist numbers rise as well. We're seeing Darren kick the ball. We're seeing Melvin Council Jr. throw down assist. We're seeing those guys feed Flory, at least, especially in that last game. They were constantly just dumping it down low over the top, and man, he was throwing it down. So you're seeing this team kind of evolve even more, kind of like a Pokemon. They're evolving, and I think that's the unique thing about this Kansas program is they're starting to click in a very important time in this season. So defensive identity, allowing roughly 67.5 points per game. Kansas combines a disciplined half-court defense. I've noticed lately too, our press has been extremely good. And so they really started focusing on rebounding the basketball. I remember distinctly, it was right after the West Virginia game. Bill Self really hit on the fact that his guards needed to step up in rebounding the basketball. And it's like they have taken that to heart. I think a lot of that was discussed probably in their players only meeting. They've really elevated the rebounding aspect, not only from Flory and Bryson Tiller, but we've seen it elevated in the guard play as well. I think one of the big things is that this team has started to focus on limiting their opponent's high efficient looks. They're really forcing tough shots, and they're really kind of forcing them to make mistakes. And Kansas what they're doing is they're capitalizing on those mistakes. They're transitioning quickly after those mistakes. They're really starting to kind of get out. They're starting to get out and pass the ball and look for open guards up the court or whoever may be bolting down the court. Kansas plays at a moderately controlled pace, but I would say as of more lately, they've kind of upticked that. They've really kind of sped up play. They do run their sets. They still run plays, but I'd say when they're trying to match a team that plays at a high level, Kansas plays pretty well at a high level as well. And I think that really reflects on their win over Baylor and that blowout win over the number 2 team in the nation, Iowa State. I think it just showcases their ability to impose their style defensively and really shows that they can lock down teams if they need to. Now, obviously, we've talked about our players. We know who's been elite. Darren Peterson, averaging 22 minutes in 9 games, so we're starting to see him play in more games. He's averaging 22 points. Ladies and gentlemen, he's probably, again, the best player to ever don a Kansas uniform. He's been absolutely elite. His ability to shoot the basketball and not touch the rim. Now, I know that that's not super special, but it just shows his continuous repetition of shooting shots. For it to be that pure every time, to snap the net on threes, to really be, you can see how he translates into an NBA style of play. Like he has the jump back shot. He has really the drive and attacks the lane. He plays extremely well with his teammates and can dish the rock when he needs to. There's just an all-around dynamic of Darren Peterson that is just so enjoyable to watch. And I think even if, let's just say, he wasn't on the Kansas Jayhawks, I still think he would be an enjoyable watch because you just truly appreciate how good of a basketball player he is. Now, the next one we kind of talked about him is Trey White. Trey White has been an absolute blessing to this Kansas Jayhawks team. And you really kind of understand where Bill Self was talking about how he really wanted to forecast Trey White to the fans because Trey White was having an extremely good offseason. You're seeing why. He's averaging 14.9 points per game. He really has been a primary scoring threat for this Jayhawks team. He's able to create his own shot. He beats defenses off the bounce. We're seeing him be able to shoot the jump shot, but at the same time, he started to elevate his three-point shooting and really play good defense. Like I stated earlier, Trey White has only had 2 games this year where he didn't score in double digits. Melvin Council Jr., ladies and gentlemen, has been a dog. He had a down game, but those are expected. They're not going to be elite every single game. They're going to have games where they just can't find it. And Melvin still scored, but I think the biggest thing is that he continues to be a facilitator. He continues to drive this Kansas offense, creating looks for Darren Peterson and many others, obviously, and managing the pace. I think one of the biggest things I really want to focus on is our bench. Our bench needs to kind of elevate a little bit. We've seen Elmarco Jackson. We've seen Jamari McDowell come off the bench. We need to see just a little bit more contribution from those guys. And the reason I say that is just a little bit less mental mistakes, I think, from Elmarco Jackson. Jamari McDowell, in my opinion, has executed what you would expect from a bench player perfectly. He comes in, he gives you timely shots, he plays lockdown defense, and that's really what Elmarco has done lately, is played extremely active hands on defense. He's been extremely good at stealing the basketball. He forces turnovers. It's the transition aspect when he's, on the offensive side, he's made some mental mistakes. But I would just like to see our defense kind of uptick, our bench uptick it just a little bit. Now, I'm going to wrap up this video. I appreciate y'all checking this out. Hopefully, I provided some good insight into the Colorado Buffaloes game that we will be taking on the road in Boulder, Colorado. Make sure you guys smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.